Are Kenyans being targeted in Tanzania? Are Kenyans being targeted in Tanzania? Are Kenyans being targeted in Tanzania now that Samia Suluhu Hassan in an inaugural speech said categorically that the spirit of violence that they witnessed in Tanzania over the election period, which existed on October 29th until around November 3rd, was as a result of foreigners and not the Tanzania that she is used to. So she said that she was actually shocked that Tanzanians could actually do that. She was saddened by the destruction of property, the loss of lives, and such like things. And she said that she will ensure that the security organs of Tanzania now return Tanzania to what they are used to. Of course, we have detailed a lot about Suluhu Hassan on our main channel, being the Civic Lens KE, and this, the People's Mirror, is an affiliate channel to the Civic Lens KE that brings to you things directly as they happen, unedited. While at the Civic Lens KE, we take a lot of time on research and editing in our main channel. So this is our affiliate channel of just reporting things as they are happening on the ground, and we'd appreciate if you also subscribe to this other one. So on this story of Suluhu Hassan, we have detailed it on the other end very substantively, but for this statement of Kenyans being targeted, it is live happening in the ground right now, and we feel like it is fit for you to consume before it becomes outdated. Now, Kenyans live in Tanzania, and for a long time, through the creation of the East African Community, which was created in the early 1967s, Kenyans have always treated Tanzania as a secondary home, a place of hub, and even Tanzanians have also treated Kenya the same. But now it seems like with the outbreak of these Gen Z demonstrations that happened in Tanzania, and after previously Suluhu Hassan actually using derogative words towards the Gen Z revolution that occurred in Kenya, it seems now as a republic we have entered the bad books of the female president of our neighbors. And now she says that the demonstrations that occurred as a result of the distaste of the Tanzanian people with how the elections were held in Tanzania is as a result of largely to a percentage influx of the foreigners. The foreigners in this context that she is referring to is largely Kenyan Gen Zs, who others through the border also tried to join the Tanzanians revolt when they were revolting against Ms. Suluhu Hassan. Now that Ms. Suluhu Hassan has been hurriedly sworn in and has uttered statements of power, it seems that now the security agents are targeting Kenyans in Tanzania. And for that purpose, we put these actions before the People's Mirror. You see, some Kenyans now are saying, and they have been recorded with various media houses who have done interviews directly or through phone in Tanzania, that some Kenyans have not stepped out of the house since October the 29th. And the reason why they have not stepped outside their house is because they do not know what's going on outside the confines of their houses. This is because for a while, internet was cut down until a few hours ago when Ms. Suluhu Hassan was sworn in. But other than that, it's because the mainstream media is not really covering the aftermath of the violence in Tanzania. And so you do not know as a foreigner whether you're going to walk out of your residence and walk into a police arrest, or whether you're going to walk out of your residence and walk into live demonstrations, or whether you're going to walk out of your residence and be targeted just because the current president in power blames your country or other countries or foreigners for the actions that occurred a few weeks ago. So Uganda is still a hostile, Tanzania, pardon me, Uganda is a friendly country to Kenya. Tanzania is still a very hostile environment to Kenyans who live there right now because they do not know how to move forward. Businesses are shut down for most Kenyans. They cannot actually do their businesses right now because they are waiting to see the mood of the country moving forward. Visiting colleagues is definitely out of question. If you cannot even leave the house from 29th until now, then you know food and such like things are also in jeopardy, because if you did not stock enough, you do not know whether if you go out you're going to be killed or attacked or something of the sort, then it leaves you to actually die of hunger in the house. So businesses are shut, visiting colleagues is out of question, phones are being bugged, and in different particular police checkpoints they are being checked, and you don't want to be found with the wrong messages. So communication to the external world is cut, and also access to food and such like things like health is also in trouble in Tanzania, specifically for the Kenyan people. So like there are examples of two Kenyans actually. two Kenyans who are actually now missing because of the Tanzania Republic's forces. We have the Kenya lawyer Frederick Obuya, who was picked in Dar es Salaam. Frederick Obuya is a lawyer who runs tours companies in Tanzania, and he was picked by officers, and his last known point was Oyster Bay police station, and after that people do not know where he is. Of course, there have been calls from the Kenyan end asking for the release of Peter Obuya from the Tanzanian forces if he's being held by the Tanzanian forces, because our trauma has really not healed on how when they arrested Boniface Mwangi, one of the Kenyan citizens, they took him through a very harrowing experience. So we hope that the same does not befall Frederick Obuya, and within a timeline that is really reasonable as per the requirement of the doctrine of habeas corpus, he be produced in time and be arraigned in court if there are any charges against him, and be brought back home if they feel like he's unfit to keep doing business in Tanzania. Mr. Frederick might still be alive, and so calls for him make sense, but Kenya lost a teacher in Tanzania during this protest called John Okoth Ogutu, who was actually shot as a result of this protest. The family members said he just stepped out to go buy food, and we have just said how even food is now a shortage to Kenyans in Tanzania, including health facilities, because brave individuals like John Okoth Ogutu, when they stepped out to go buy food, ended up in the face of a bullet. And now families are asking the officials to release the body from Dar es Salaam so that the family can bury the body and have the last respects given to Mr. Okoth Ogutu. So this particular two isolated instances that have targeted Kenyans, if viewed against the statement of Suluhu Hassan, that she's blaming foreigners for taking part in this particular revolt, shows that it might seem as a direct order for now these foreigners to be, looked for, arrested, disappeared, abducted, for the purposes of keeping a solid Tanzania under one iron fist. But from our end, it looks really bad as a country, not just for our ties with East African community and with Tanzania, but these are our brothers and sisters. These are people that were breadwinners to their families back at home, and so if they can lose their lives so haphazardly or be disappeared so haphazardly, then it leaves a very big dent, not just to the nation but specifically to the families that were dependent on these individuals. Another thing that really might be painful is that when there was an attempt to reach PS for Foreign Affairs and the CS for Foreign Affairs to address these issues with the bodies that have since reported the missing of Obuya and Ogutu, the funny thing is that there have not since reached, there have since been no communication from the PS Foreign Affairs and from Honorable Mudavadi on this particular instances. So that leaves a lot of Kenyans questioning what is the position of really our foreign affairs, because this is not the first time the involvement of foreign affairs is being questioned when it comes to East African communities abductions, and we are witnessing an era where Kenyans are being abducted left, right and center. They're being abducted in Kenya, they're of course being abducted in Tanzania, like what happened with Boniface Mwangi, now Fred Ogutu being killed, Fred Obuya being kidnapped, and John Okoth Ogutu being killed. Then also, if you remember, in our neighboring Uganda, we have also since been demanding for the release of two activists who have since disappeared in that border. So East African community, or the East African countries, the East Africa countries, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, are becoming very hostile grounds for Kenyan citizens, and we hope that this becomes stopped by all the three presidents jointly. That is the people's mirror on the actions of the presidents and the forces of Tanzania when it comes to the Kenyan citizens.